Hey guys, it's Stephen from Heresy Academy here. In today's video, we're going to set up our screen boundaries or limit by using an edge collider, which is not going to be as simple as you would think. We'll jump straight in now, and we'll get creating our empty object. So we'll call this a screen limit. As I go through this, I'll explain more about it. So with our screen limit, it's an empty object. First of all, we want to reset it to position 0. This is very, very important. Make sure you set it to position 0, 0, 0 by way of using the settings button and clicking reset. So we're going to add the component. It's a 2D game, so we'll go to physics 2D and we'll go to edge collider. Now, I'm going to zoom in and I'll close off the game. Well, not close it off, but I'll move it. You'll probably, hopefully, be able to see this green line that's come up here. And this is our edge collider, so it's pretty rubbish at the moment. What we want to do is edit our collider, and it'll come up. So I've just clicked edit collider here, and it'll come up with this little, now it's got a square. I can take this square, and I can pull it down to the corner of the screen here. And then as I move along, I can decide to create another one here, just by dragging, simply by dragging. Then I'll zoom out a little bit. What I'll do is I'll drag this one. Well, we'll drag it here for now. Purpose about halfway. Drag this to that corner. Then I'll drag this down to here. About halfway, drag that to that corner. So I've pretty much made a square around the screen, which is great. This is what we're going to do, but an issue you may see. Let's see if I can actually show you on the game screen now. Click on, yeah. So if we click on gizmos, right? This is what this will come up as a gizmo. If you click on the gizmos menu, you can see sort of all the options to click. So I've actually went down here to edge collider 2D and turned that off. You won't be able to see it anymore. Another example. We're not really using anything else at the moment. No. That's fine, that's fine. But yeah, so anyway. So I've got gizmos on. We'll go more into gizmos in a later video. And this is our screen, and you can see that our collider, this green line, it's not perfect. And we could spend as long as we wanted to trying to make this absolutely pixel perfect, and it's not quite going to cut it. So what you could do is you could figure out the coordinates for the corners of these, and then change these points here, these elements. So to find this, what I've done is I've clicked on the screen limit, and in the inspector, underneath the edge collider, there's a tab here called points. So each of these is 5 points, even though there's 4 corners. To be able to make a square with a line, you've got to have 2 points to 1 edge. So this is an edge, this is an edge, this is an edge, and this is an edge. So you're probably sat there thinking, okay, so what do we do about it? Well, we're actually going to create a script in a moment, and inside the script we're going to take our camera and we're going to use something called screen to world point. You've got two ways of looking at this game, and in some of our scripts we've used vector 3s and we've used vector 2s. I think we've used vector 2s. If we haven't, then we will do. I've got a bit confused on that one. But basically, vector 2, x and y, so it's just a flat 2D graph. Then you go to your 2D, you go to your 3D view, you've now got your Z. So to consider, we're going from, let's go back to our 2D. We're going back to our 2D here. To consider now, all you want to do is set an X and Y position for both of these. To gather our world point, which is actually a point here from our camera, click on the camera. If you'll see now, the camera, it's although it only shows in this 2D game, it's only showing a 2D view. You can actually go to a perspective view and that just completely warps everything and it's just ruined. It's not going to work for what we've made. So stick to orthographic, that's for 2D. Although it's only seeing 2Ds, you can actually click on like your background, and that's Z position. Well, everything's at Z position 0. But let's say we got our brakes and we decided to move them to Z position -3. You'll see in the game there's absolutely no difference, whereas the camera's telling us there is. It's in a different position. Put it back to 0 because we don't need to mess around with that. I just wanted to try and explain a bit about what we're going to do. The reason I want to explain is because although we've used vector 2 positions for 2D games, and this is remaining to be a 2D game, and we're not going to use a Z position, we are going to use vector 3s. Like in the paddle, let's see if I can find an example. Just quickly grabbing this out now. We use vector 3 dot right. That's predefined to use a vector 3 for the directions, and then you can see down here we only changed the X position. We didn't change the Y, and we had to include the Z because we're using a vector 3 because we're using the vector 3 dot right sort of thing. So even though it's a 2D game, we'll still use vector 3, and I don't want you thinking that I've made a mistake. I meant vector 2. It's going to be vector 3. And you'll notice as well when we set the coordinates, we will actually just put 0 for Z. We can put 1, we can put 2. It will not make a single difference. Also, when we come to making our script, click back on screen limit. We'll be creating our square from the bottom left corner. This will become obvious as I write the script because I'll say bottom left, upper left, etc. But it won't make a difference where you start from. I'll touch on this point again when it comes to writing that exact line. But if you start your square from the top left, and then you go top right, bottom left, as long as you finish where you started, like I said, I'll point this out when we do it. As long as you finish where you started, it's going to work absolutely fine. Apart from that, I think we're good to go. So I'll save this, and I'll save the screen limit. Even though it's not technically right, it will become right very soon. One thing you'll notice as well, I don't think you will notice, right here, I don't know the quality of the video, whether you can see it, my actual square, the end of this line isn't touching the bottom of this. So if I tried to do this, it wouldn't work very well because there's a slight tiny possibility the ball could hit that bottom corner and do a little dance and get stuck and just never be played again. Well, you could restart it and play it again, but yeah. Another thing as well, sorry, just to point out, I've got this at the moment at 5:4, the ratio for the screen size, but if I put it to 16:10, it's absolutely no good. We're going to want to stretch out the background, we want to do this. I will point out as well, I'm just showing you this method, but for the final game, we are going to use something else. We will stretch the screen a bit, and I'll probably keep it at 5:4, but maybe stretch the camera. I've not totally decided. But we're going to add in 2 objects for the walls and possibly put a roof on it, depending if we can stretch the camera up as well. And then we'll give them colliders, and that's what we'll use for this project. But I want to sort of give you a bit more of an explanation of another way to do it as well, because by doing it this way, you'll be able to verify. You're going to be able to guarantee, no matter what screen size you do, we're going to use the camera object and we'll pick up what screen size it is, and it will set the positions, or set these points based off the screen height and the screen width, etc. So going back to the points real quick, you see the camera object or the camera lines here. If you consider the coordinates, so completely forget about Z, so we're still going with just X and Y. So element 0 starting the bottom left corner. So this one would be, well, this one would be completely 0 and 0. Now, if we're putting this to 0, 0 now, I'll put it right in the center of the screen. So ignore the screen now, you want to just look at the inspector over here. Then the next one, can I put letters? Yeah. So the next one, you would have it at the X going left and right would still be at 0 because you've not moved on the X, but you'll be writing it to be does it not let me know? Unless we put F's. I thought it'd let me put it in put in some letters, but never mind. I don't see why it would, it's a number thing, but okay. I'll explain as we make the script. So you want to create a new C# script and call it whatever you want. I'll call this no, not corners. Game edge or edges. You know, I should probably say it like that. Yeah, so we're going to open this up. It may be a bit of a delay on opening it in Mono Develop. We shall see. Maybe it's going to crash. Depends what it wants to do today. We'll find out. And it's flashing orange, so it says it's good to go straight away. Oh, there we go. It's loaded. Oh no. Okay, we're good to go. I mean, these have gone red. There we go. All right. So yeah. Like I said, we're going to reference our camera, and we're also obviously going to reference our collider, which is our edge collider. So both of these, again, we'll go for public and public. Top one, we'll go for camera, and we can just call this, just call it cam or camera. Call it camera. Call it cam for short if you want. This one, we're going to call it an edge collider 2D. If you've got it autofill in here, you can just see it straight away. Edge collider 2D, and then you can just call this edge. Okay, I think I've mentioned this before. Anything you call here, everything you write in these. So let's say you reference an object and then you write something next to it. This is just a name for it. So you can call it whatever you want. I say edge here. You could call it collider. You could call it EC if you wanted to. Absolutely fine. That's, you know, it's just something you come up with all by yourself. Nobody really needs to know about it. So in the start section then, we're going to start out straight away by creating our coordinates for the the 4 points, the bottom left, top right, etc. So we'll start off with bottom left. Go for vector 3, then go for top left. It will look wrong right now. This is just the way I decided to start this. And go for another vector 3. Bottom right. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to use something called the screen to world point, and we get this point by the camera. So, first of all, we reference our camera, and then we want to go to, well, you can see there in the autofill, world to screen. No, sorry, ignore me a second. There we go. Screen to world point. I apologize. I just nearly confused myself. I want to go screen to world point. So you can do it in reverse as well. And I nearly just did that, and it would have ruined things. So we'll open some brackets, and we want to create a new vector 3. And then the coordinates for the vector 3 on this would be 0, 0, 0. Okay. So the vector 3 position 0, 0, 0 at the moment would be the center of our screen, just based on our scene view. We're using the screen to world point. The 0, 0, 0 would then tell this to put the position of this in the bottom left corner. So quite similarly, now we're going to go camera.screen to world point and new vector 3. So what you can do is you can basically just copy the code, go down, equal sign, just copy the code and copy the code. Because technically this code is correct. Like, it will register it fairly enough. It'll say everything's right, all 4 points being the same thing, and it won't actually do anything just yet. But obviously to us it's not correct. So what we want now for the top left, we want to go for the central one here. So just consider it now. This is your X, this is your Y, this is your Z. So Z can stay at 0. We're only going to change the X and the Y. So just to write out here, just to give you a sort of visual point, I'll change this in a minute. So the X is the left and right, and for the top left, so you started out here, and then you've gone up here. So you've not moved X, you've not moved on the X, so the X can stay at 0. So how do you know how much you've moved on the Y? Because if you've got an iPhone, then your screen is quite thin but tall, whereas if you've got a tablet, it can be wider than it was tall, so you've moved up less space. Well, I mean, on a tablet compared to an iPhone, you probably move more space. But let's say take a laptop then, or a computer. You've moved more space across different devices. So how are you going to figure that out? What you're going to do is you're going to write screen dot height. It's height with a lowercase. I always write it with capital, so I'm really glad that it picks it up for me. So yeah, so no matter what screen you're on now, this will say screen dot height. So the 0 position in the bottom left corner, then the screen dot height. So whatever screen it picks, it'll be this top corner. So again, always try and imagine a graph. Forget the Z, like I said. Even though we're using vector 3s, this is just the way we do it. We will put it back to a vector 2 afterwards, it will work fine. But yeah, so imagine a graph, and point 0 is the bottom corner. So the height of the graph, and you've not moved the 0, the height of the graph is obviously the maximum point will be here, which will be different across different graphs. You could have a graph where the maximum point would be 100, but the next one could be 1000. All it knows is at the absolute top point there, by 0, 0. That's the position you want it to be. So for the top right, you now want the maximum height and the maximum width. So for both of these, we're going to go screen.width and then screen.height. The same as with the height there, we've gone all the way to the end with the width, and then all the way to the top with the height, and then obviously 0. And then for the bottom right, now we've gone all the way across, not a lot, or whatever word I just said, but then you've not moved anywhere in the height. So that one remains 0, and all you use here is screen width. It doesn't matter in what order you write these, whichever way best serves yourself. Here we're going clockwise in writing it, and we can go clockwise in building it as well. You can write it anti-clockwise, build it, and you can start in this corner if you want, as long as you finish there. It's all absolutely fine. So now, what we're going to do, our edge collider there. Let me just move this curly bracket. Now, we want to actually tell it to pick these points. So I'm going to grab edge. I have seen, before I actually carry on, just comment that out a second. I have seen people, well, it's been a while since I watched one of the videos, but sometimes people would call their the variable collider. The only reason I haven't today is because if you accidentally put a capital letter on collider, it will tell you that it's correct. It'll tell you it's a real thing. And then collider here is this object. This is the collider component is pre-built in. So I try my best to avoid situations like that, and where I can just, like I said, you got the freedom to name it yourself. No, I don't want edge. Just call it collider. Put it back to edge. And there we go. So we'll go for edge, and then dot points. Now, same as the camera here, and I'm pretty sure. Let's just quickly open it. Paddle, yeah, dot position. So I think I mentioned the dot. Basically, now you're grabbing the position that belongs to this. So the edge. Let's quickly jump back to Unity here. Going back to our screen limit points. See this here? By writing edge.points, edge is the name of our edge collider. So we don't have to call it edge, by the way. You could just call it EC. I think I mentioned that before, actually. By writing edge.collider, edge.points, we'll put this script on our screen limit component here, and we'll drag down the edge collider. So the edge collider 2D that we've called edge is now, we're saying the points of this sort of thing. So dot points visually, trying to visually show you here. So this is our edge dot points. So the points belongs to this. So it'll set these 5 points here. I hope that sort of explains it well enough. So I'm going to go for a new, like I said, we're going to use vector 2. As you see here now, it's already got them square brackets. What this is an array. And inside here, we're going to tell it how many points to make. So we've gone for 5, because obviously we want 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 back there. Obviously, if you wanted to do another shape, you could put in some more positions. Depends on what sort of screen you want after everything. But we're going for 5 points there. I'm going to open and close some curly brackets here, and I'll just put a semicolon at the end because I'll probably forget. So this is where you decide where you're starting from. So I'm starting from the bottom left, and then we want to go to top left, and top right, then the bottom right, and of course we go back to the bottom left. And this here now should be the end of it, really. I can show you now on the gizmos or on the scene in a minute, show you how the edge collider works. And yeah, so I hope I've explained this well enough to you. Of course, if you're not sure, leave a comment below and everything. We're just going to save our script, then we're going to open Unity again. It's going to load it in at the bottom, and I should be able to show you. I'll be able to show you here now. I'll tell you the coordinates in this section of points here. Okay. So grab our game edge here, drag this in, and you'll see the camera and the edge here. So grab edge collider from the screen limit and drag this down to edge collider there. And then grab our camera, drop that into there. Save our scene, and open up points there, and close the script, close transform. Just want to focus on the points, and you'll probably see it here as well. Let's put our scale back to 5 to 4 before we do anything else. Click on play. Assuming I've got the script in right now, we shall see. There you go. Do you see that? I saw I'll move, and then you open up the points. So the points here should all look pretty much opposites. So you got your minus 6.25 and your minus 5 for element 0, which will be the exact same as element 4 there, yeah. Minus 6.25 minus 5. And then, to make it perfectly the right end, I don't know what I'm trying to say now. Symmetrical, kind of. Is it symmetrical? Yeah, it'll be symmetrical. I'm sure that's the word. So you got your minus 6.25. So then on the opposite side, it'll be 6.25 here, as you can see. Minus 5 and 5. Now, as you can see, it's a 5 to 4 screen. So it's you can sort of see a bit of the difference there. 5 to 4 ratio. The difference is 1.25. So that's 1.25 times 5. Anybody? 6.25, and times by 4 is 5. If I change the screen now, you shouldn't see it move. The reason for this is we've written it in the start function. We've not put it in the update function, so it only calls it once. It will only do it when the script is started. It'll do that, and that's done. So if you were having like a dynamic game where you can have it possible to change your screen size, or if you've got it on a phone and they flip the phone sideways, you want to make sure you have a piece of script in there that will basically run this again. So you can actually put this into its own separate function, So what I'll do, I'll just quickly show you this. Well, yeah, I'll copy it and I'll just comment it out because I don't want to delete it and then risk like losing it all, having to write it all again. Because I will make you watch it. For your fault. Okay, so I've dropped down here now. I'll just go to void, create edge. Drop down the curly brackets. We're putting all of these here, and then in the start function, we want to go create edge. Should do now the exact same thing, and rather than have it all stuffed into the start function, you could have it here in one function. You can even make this a public function, so you can have another script that checks if the screen has changed, and then if it has, tell it to run the create edge. It's completely up to you, and I'm pretty sure as time goes on we will make a mobile game that you can tilt to the side, and then we'll do something similar to this, further explaining what we're talking about. But if you've already got prior knowledge to Unity and the mobile gaming and setting up different screen layouts, I mean, I'm sure you'd already know this, but if this was the one thing you was looking for, then here you go, and add it in. So yeah, we're going to just quickly change the script now, so just saving that, drop into Unity, oh, left it on. Okay, let it load the script in. Okay, and then just press play. As you see, it's done the exact same thing. Change the scale now. You can see it a bit better. Obviously, that's no good if it starts off as a bigger screen and then goes smaller, because the ball can like bounce all the way out here before it does anything. So yeah, put it to 5 to 4 and then put it on. Let's see. Ah, there we go. Sorry, I clicked off it. I couldn't see it then. Right. Yeah. So that pretty much wraps up the screen collider here. Like I said, there is another way of doing it, and I'll show you that way. Put in an object like a wall. In the next video, I'm probably actually going to start on actually moving the ball, making it hit the bricks, just destroying the bricks, or having the ball move, just to have it basically move. Depends what mood I'm in after this. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I need to go over real quick. I don't think there really is. See if I can show you these points now. 6.25. Yeah, that's pretty much it, to be fair. So yeah, that's now the that's the edge. Setting up the perimeter of your game, the boundaries of your game. Not sure what title to give this video yet. So yeah, hope you enjoy this video and give it a thumbs up if you did like it. If you didn't like it, leave me a comment, let me know. Is it gone on for too long? Have I spoken too long? That's just me, I'm afraid. Yeah, so enjoy the video, subscribe to find more videos, and well, hope to see you soon. Sort of. See you. Thanks for watching.